Happy Friday, y'all. It's Lynn Howard, and we are going to talk about ways to avoid burnout as an author. I do have a cold. Sorry if I sound funny. I'm going to try my best not to sniffle through the whole damn video. First thing I want to say, and I guess tip number one, you're allowed to be tired. You're allowed to be busy. You're allowed to take breaks. We all have lives. We all work. We have kids. We have animals. We have spouses, significant others. We have lives. You're allowed to be tired. I know a lot of times I say set your schedule and try to write on a regular basis. But there's going to be days where you're too tired. And I have those days too. On those days, I may not write. But I still try to find a way to continue on my journey, whether it be reading a craft book, reading marketing books, connecting with other authors on Facebook. Those are still extremely important aspects of the writer's life because, let's face it, this is kind of a solitary, career. We tend to sit in a room or a closet or at the table by ourselves with our make-believe characters. So connecting with other authors or other people in the industry is extremely important. That is still an aspect of writing. If you're too tired, don't keep pushing yourself, or you will lose the passion for something that you've loved your whole life, writing. Tip number two is take breaks. Now, it could be taking breaks while you're in the middle of writing. It could be taking breaks for a few days or a few weeks. Don't go too much further than that because then you start, I'll do it later. But it's okay to take breaks. I have a cold. Today's actually better than it's been. I still sound kind of bad. I don't know how bad I sound to you guys, but in my head it's very nasally. For 2 days I was dragging because I was coughing all night, so I couldn't sleep. So I was really tired. I'm currently editing my newest release coming up in April. But instead of doing my normal push like I would do on a regular basis, I had to go slow because I couldn't focus very well. So there's no point in pushing myself to being sicker. So I took breaks. I would edit a little bit, would watch a little TV, I'd edit a little bit, I would just rest. Take breaks. And again, you can, while you're in the middle of writing, you can step away from your laptop or your notebook. Let your brain rest for a second. Let your body move around, get them juices flowing. Number three, and this actually is a really big one to me and what keeps me going, is remember your why. Why are you doing this? I write because I love to write, because I have to write, because there's constantly stories in my head. Now, of course, I like the income that I draw from it. That's always a perk. But I've always loved to write. I've always loved to read. I've always loved the written word. Bibliophile. Those of us that read nonstop, those of us that are book addicts, we're called bibliophiles. I love the written word. I love to read and I love to write. That is my why. If you find your why, whether it's because you love to write, whether it's because you want to make this your full-time career, because, I could frown almost, because you want to make an income out of this, just remember your why. And every time you're like, it's too hard, I don't want to do this anymore, I should be a multi-million selling author by now, remember your why and go back to that. Maybe readdress your, I'm still so tired. Ooh. Think, Lynn, think, Lynn, think, Lynn, think. Brain doesn't want to work, brain doesn't want to work. If you remember your why, it will help you to avoid that burnout state. You will go back to, I'm doing this because I love to write. I'm doing this because I want this to be my career. Whatever your why is, but make sure that's very strong in your head. Make sure you have that nailed down. Number four is something that I actually struggle with. Don't try to do all the things. There's some pieces of advice that tell you to be on all the social networks, to be on Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest. I almost said something else. TikTok. I don't even know how many there are anymore. There's no way. We have 24 hours in a day. Pick 1, 2, or 3 that you enjoy and stick to those. I would say I post the most on Facebook, but I enjoy TikTok sometimes. I don't really post about my books so much, but I enjoy TikTok. And I do post pictures on Instagram at times, which then will, tag on to Facebook. So I guess I post a lot more on Facebook than anything else. But if you try to do all those, plus a podcast, plus a YouTube channel, plus, once you pile everything together, you're going to burn the candle at both ends. You're going to become so exhausted that burnout is going to become a full-blown crash. You're going to crash. I do have a podcast. I have you guys. I have my books. Back in December, we had family issues on top of the things that I'm already doing, plus the social media, and I caught COVID. I crashed. That was it. I couldn't do anything it was about 3 weeks before I could do anything at all, like going back to writing, which is my one true passion. That is my biggest passion, is writing. If you try to do all the things, your body's going to shut down. Yeah, there's workaholics that can, but for 99.9% of us, find the things that you enjoy, that you have a natural knack for, that you're kind of good at. Stick with those. That's all you need to do. You don't have to be on all social networks. You don't have to have a podcast and a YouTube. I have these to help my fellow indie authors because that's what I love to do. That's what I love to do. I don't write nonfiction books to help authors, but I just figured after as many years, as many books as I put out, I had a few things that I could share to help you guys. Because when we started out self-publishing, those of us that started out in the very beginning, there was none of this out there. There was no way to research a lot of the indie industry. So I just feel that I want to help you guys learn from my mistakes, I guess, as well as my successes. So find what you enjoy, whether it's Facebook and TikTok or Twitter and Instagram, whatever you enjoy, stick with those. You don't have to do a YouTube and a podcast and a Patreon. Find the things you enjoy that make you feel fulfilled and keep you wanting to move forward, and stick with those. And number 5, and to me the most important, set realistic goals. Every author would love to see our books come to life in movie form. We all would love to see our characters acting in front of us. I mean, come on, that's like the biggest fantasy. I don't want to say because we want to be multi-million, dollar selling author / movie producers. I want to see my characters come to life too. But is that a realistic goal? Each month I readdress my goals. Each quarter I readdress my goals, and each year I readdress my goals. I set new goals in December for the next year, and then each month I readdress. My goal right now is to market more, because I'm not very good at talking about my books, like, oh hey, buy my book, buy my book. I'm not very good at that. I'm trying to find ways around that I can market without bombarding, my friends on Facebook or my friends on Instagram. Find a realistic goal, whether it's finish 1 book a year, finish 2 books a year, publish 1 book a year, find an agent, find a publisher, research whether you want it to be, fully Kindle exclusive or wide. Set realistic goals, whether monthly, quarterly, or yearly, and stick to those goals. Because if, again, you try to do all the things without setting a plan, you will burn out, and you will burn out fast. And this career that you've been aiming for, this passion that is just burns in your veins, will become a nuisance. It will become something you no longer enjoy. And nobody wants that to happen. My brain doesn't want to function any further because I have a cold and I'm on cold medicine. But that's all I got for you guys today. So I'll see you next Friday. Mwah! Bye. Just want to tell you guys, I had to put on a whole lot of makeup just to look like a human being for you today. I literally got up and put on a full face of makeup just for you guys, so I would look human for the talking head. Man, at least vlogs I don't have to do makeup.